episode of the Chasing Points podcast, episode 138. We're back to share our insight on a lot of things going on. Harrison, why are you holding your mouth? Are you stopping yourself from laughing, sir? Is there a reason?
Yeah, I mean, laughter on a podcast that's audio-wise isn't the best, but you just hopping on saying, brother, it'll send me. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
good. Just know there's a lot of brothers in the future. So, gentlemen, we are in the midst of the summer. Prime indicator of that is it is All-Star Break. So we got a lot of baseball to talk about. We also have some basketball to talk about. There's a lot of things going on as we move towards that. A couple little tidbits here and there. I'm not going to give everything away this week, but let's jump right into MLB. We were just talking about the show, and which is apparently dead to Harrison, and we'll tell you why it's dead to Harrison. But All-Star Break officially is the first round of the All-Star Break. Well, technically was the Worlds versus USA yesterday, or is that tonight?
The future game?
Yeah, the future game.
That was Saturday.
So yeah, I missed that shit.
I hate that they did it during like a full slate of games.
Yeah.
But there's only so many days, so whatever. But
completely missed that.
The draft on a Sunday night is weird too. But
also very weird. But tonight is the Home Run Derby, something that I will not be watching. And why did you make that face? I don't care for the Home Run Derby anymore. I don't care for it anymore. I really just don't. I mean, I'll probably catch like a glimpse of it. But as soon as Pete Alonso comes on the screen, I will definitely turn because his face just irks me. Sam.
That's the people's champ.
Future Yankee.
He might be a future Yankee. Sam, can you give us a rundown of who is in the Home Run Derby and who do you have? Who is your favorite? Because you are our baseball guy.
Well, this will be a moot point when this episode drops in the morning.
Sure.
So, if you didn't watch the Home Run Derby, like Hayes probably won't, there is two-time champion Pete Alonso. The only other person aside from Alonso that was in the Derby last year, Vlad Jr. won, by the way, is Adolis Garcia, who is repping his home stadium for the Rangers. And then there's some other interesting names here: Bobby Wood Jr. of the Royals, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, Marcelo Zuna of the Braves, Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers, last year's Rookie of the Year Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles, and Alec Boehm, third baseman for the Phillies, who just has 11 home runs. It was an interesting choice, but they changed the rules this year, the Home Run Derby. It's the first round, at least. They're not like going head to head. It's basically the top 4 scores in X amount of minutes. And so, you don't get paired up Pete Alonso against Alec Boehm or whatever. So that'll be interesting to see. But there's some other tweaks to the rules. But again, moot point.
Well, let me just touch on that real quick because I at least like what they're doing compared to the NFL's All-Star Break or the Pro Bowl weekend and whatnot, because we all pretty much know that's dead in the water. But I like the fact that they actually are trying to change things. They're attempting to move things around and try to keep it, a star of the show, right? So, I mean, it's big. If you're a huge baseball fan, like watching it, it's big. I mean, it's different watching what we watched when we grew up. Harrison and I were just talking about it yesterday. We wish in the show that you were able in the Home Run Derby to put your hat on backwards for Ken Griffey Jr. Like that would be a phenomenal option. Like it's things like that. For me, it's just kind of like, okay, I still love to watch it, but it's kind of just like all All-Star games essentially are kind of just But I do respect the fact that they're trying to keep it fresh for the fans and try new different ways to see if it works or whatnot. But I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I think they want to slow it down too. Like each hitter gets to see 40 pitches within a certain amount of time. So it's not just going to be like whoever can get the ball, whoever can get as many pitches off as possible in, short amount of time. So like, I think they're trying to slow it down a bit because if you've just watched it, and I haven't watched it religiously in the last couple of years, but it is hard to kind of, the ball is not even landing before the next one's, out of the pitcher's hand. So yeah, we talk about this every sports all-star weekend, right? It's especially as we are getting older. We're all relatively the same age. It's like it's not necessarily for us anymore. And there's some iconic moments, right? You mentioned Griffey Jr. in Camden Yards with the hat backwards, or Josh Hamilton in Yankee Stadium, and that Fenway Park year, McGuire, Sosa, like stuff like that. Like, yeah, legendary stuff from our childhood. I don't watch it as much, but I told my son about it, who's 6 years old, and he's excited. He doesn't understand why Aaron Judge isn't doing it, but he's excited to
We still
look
have
at it.
Boomer.
So
Is Boomer
yeah.
still announcing? Does he still do the back?
Damn
Damn it.
It's been Carl Ravitch the last couple of years,
Okay.
but
Shout out to Carl.
Boomer always
Yeah, I missed that.
was
Yeah.
polarizing, to say the least.
So who do you have winning tonight, Sam?
I don't know. I don't care. I was looking at the odds from BetMGM. I wrote it down. Pete Alonso, betting favorite, plus 310.
Okay.
And if you really want to feel lucky, I mentioned Alec Boehm only has 11 home runs. He's plus 2,000. Gunner's right behind him, 375. Marcelo Ozuna, who's having an MVP type year, 425. Bobby Witt at 500. Adolis Garcia, 600. So, yeah, I'm just going to go with Pete Alonso here. It's a chalk pick. He's won it twice. This is his fifth, I believe, home run derby. So, he basically has said if it's, whenever it happens, he will be there if he's invited.
That's the spirit.
At least he knows how to pace himself and what to do. So that's cool. I don't really have much insight otherwise.
My pick will be Alec. I like to just watching, and just in my opinion, I feel like every guy that goes in there with like the most home runs never really wins. I just feel that way. Like I feel like every once in a while they do. Because Gunner would definitely be my pick, because out of the bunch he has the most, and I love the way the Gunner swings the bat. So it would definitely be him. But I'm just gonna go Alec. That's who I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, I mean anything's possible, right? There's 5 guys here that it's their first home run derby. So, J Ram, Jose Ramirez has been there before, Adolis Garcia, Pete Alonso. To your point though, Gunnar Henderson has 28 home runs this year. Playing in Camden Yards, a hard place to hit home runs. Pete Alonso has 9 less, but I think we would all say that Pete Alonso is the most prolific home run hitter on this list.
This
so
is
yeah,
Pete's World
in season
Series.
does it.
This is Pete's World Series for sure.
I'm going with Gunner. I just recently played the home run derby in the show, and he beat me in the first round. He had 21 home runs in the first round, and no one else on the other side of the bracket hit more than 15. So I'm gonna go with him. It's a second screen experience for me because it's a national holiday for college football fans, but I'll keep track of it.
That's fair. Tomorrow, when you guys hear this on DSPs, will actually be the day of the All-Star game, which is at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have the AL against the NL. Same thing. The jerseys are poop.
Yeah, they're not great, man.
They're terrible.
They're horrible.
There's been some really cool ones.
Yeah,
and
these aren't one of them. Let's make it very clear. These are not one of them.
It's not even like Texas themed. I didn't read into any of it, but it's like really like fluorescent color. Like I just don't get it. I don't know what there's a backstory, but
I literally said to Harrison for those that don't know, we play the show. And Harrison sent me that the pack came through for the All-Star break, and I didn't see it at first, so then I finally saw it. And then he sent me like a bunch of pictures of his character with some of the accessories they got. Crazy accessory pack. And then he's playing the All-Star game with these terrible-ass jerseys.
Terrible.
These have got to be... I said to him, too, Sam, to what you just said. I said, so they're in Texas, and there's so many Texas-type themes that they could have used. They could have put, like, what is it, like the bedazzle, like, stitching on, like, cowboy shirts and shit. They could have put that on, like, a jersey and made it look like that, like Texas, with a spur on it, like a little tassel. I'd have been fine with that. But this is for the birds.
It's not so hot take here. And it's gonna make me sound like the get off my lawn kind of guy. But can we play in our home? In our normal jerseys, like the American League wear white and the National League wear gray. In this case, since it's an American League park, like that was always so cool to see that. And I know you want to sell these jerseys. There's been a couple of them that are pretty cool. I still remember the Mariners jersey a couple years ago. Like that was that. I really like that one. The Dodger one from a couple years ago was pretty cool. But like these are just
Well, if they want to sell the jerseys, to your point, let them wear their regular jerseys, but put a special patch on it. People
do
love
something.
patches on different
Wear 'em
jerseys.
for the home run derby.
I have that
do
jersey.
something.
Oh, it's got this patch on it. Like, cool. And I have all of them because you can wear it to the stadium. You're going to get way more use out of it than these garbage bags that they're going to put on. It's so bad.
Dude, I remember real quick, they did this only once or twice. And I remember they had specific All-Star Game hats with like the player's signature or whatever on the side. I had a Derek Jeter one from like 2000 something, and I feel like they only did that once or twice or something like that. But those were so cool. Like I would cop one of those like today if there was like an Aaron Judge.
Well, we're bringing back the home away jerseys for MLB.
Yeah.
Do that for the NBA too.
Yeah.
Come on.
Absolutely. It's enough's enough. We like to see them in their jerseys, their actual jerseys. Anybody that either of you are looking to see in this game, I'll tell you right off, Paul Skenes for me, being the first. What was he? He was drafted. He's the first to be drafted first round, and then the following be the starter in All-Star Game. He's the first person to ever do that, which is pretty cool. And he's just the fifth rookie starter to ever start an All-Star Game, which is pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to see what he does because he just looks like he's having fun. I hope he brought the backpack with him that he uses to warm up. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. Corbin Burns, want to see what he does. Shohei, let's see what we got. And then the Phillies, basically the whole national team. So see what the Phillies do.
Phillies are there.
It's a little different now too. Like obviously with the more balanced schedule, like you see the pitchers from the other side of the league a little bit more. So kind of waters it down a little. But watching Paul Skenes try to navigate through however many innings he gets through. What do they do? 2?
I would be surprised just based on how careful the Pirates have been. And one thing,
he does more than one, right?
Yeah, like he'll probably, they certainly want to showcase him and they want to be careful, but he could get 2. He deserves 2.
Just watching him get through American League, however many batters he gets through. Obviously, both these teams are stacked with great hitters.
The big controversy from last week was that he was pulled 7 innings into a no hitter. Yep. I think as a fan that sucks. As a someone who loves baseball and really loves the logistics of baseball, I totally understand. I mean, they've babied him all year in the minors. He came up May 11th, but before that. So, it's that is what it is, but it'll be fun. And Corbin Burns has played in the National League, won a Cy Young in the National League. Now he's facing these hitters. So there's some similarities there. I think the AL, just looking at starting lineups, I think the AL's a stronger starting lineup, but I mean, there's absolute studs on the NL side. So, and I think the AL has like some crazy record of, in the last 20 something years, how many times they've won or whatever, but
I'll take it.
Whatever.
Harrison, anybody stand out for you? Or you have Paul. That's just who you're going with. Is Paul for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just that's the most interesting thing. Obviously, all these guys can rake and are great hitters, but the matchups are cool.
Fair. Sam, All-Star Break. At this time, as we mentioned, what are your power rankings?
Yeah, power ranking time. So at number 5, I'm not going to dive too much into this, but I have the Dodgers here, 56 and 41. They, a lot of teams looks like, especially on this list, haven't had a great last week and a half. But the Dodgers were swept by the Phillies, who are the best team in baseball. Spoiler, they're number 1 here. And they also lost a series to the Tigers, so like not what you want there. But they have a ton of injuries especially on the pitching side here. So Clayton Kershaw is on his way back, which is a name we haven't heard in a while. So he looked good in a rehab start recently. They certainly have the firepower. They have the prospects to make a big move. I would not be surprised there. They certainly have the flexibility with Shohei's contract to add pieces there. I have the Yankees at 4. They almost swept the Orioles and then fell apart last night, Sunday afternoon in devastating fashion, but they're 58-40 there. So I have some hope that we'll turn it around, but they really need to, the bullpen's a mess. They're not consistently hitting everyone, but Aaron Judge seems like they're lost at times at the plate here. So we'll see. It's still time to turn around. The Guardians at 3 here, 58-37. Just like this team, like how they're built, and they have the first pick in the draft yesterday. So that's like cheating, but like good for them. Like that's great. So I really like this team, and that division's for the taking. So that's right there. The Orioles, despite losing a series to the Yankees, they've been on fire all year too. 58-38 here. They've lost a ton of pitching just in the last since the last time we had a podcast. So I've been saying this for about 2 years now. They need to go out and get more pitching. They got Corbin Burns to start the season. That's not shabby at all. I think you'll probably see them deal the plethora of prospects that they have to load up for the stretch here. But they're a scary team, and the Phillies, they have the best record in baseball by 4 games here. As Hayes mentioned, 8 All-Stars after there was another substitution because of an injury or something. So they have 8 All-Stars. That's nuts. So they've been firmly atop my power rankings for a while now, and well deserved for sure.
I have nothing to change about that. Just want to give a shout out to the Guardians. Second baseman that they drafted, Travis Banzana. Is that how you say his last name? From Australia.
I've heard Bazana,
yeah. However you want to say
Australian
it. But
second baseman, man.
He's the first ever second baseman to be drafted first overall. Yeah. So congrats to him.
Shout out to him.
But yeah, it was. I don't know if you watched the reaction of his mom when she gave him a hug. He was kind of like, okay, calm down.
Like a.
She went to give him, she got up and she went to give him a hug. And he was just like, okay, Mom. All right.
Manhandling him. Yeah, it was funny.
But that was pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, the Phillies are going to be there for a while. I mean, they are clearly the best team right now. Honestly, when I saw that they had 8 players in the All-Star game, it kind of reminded me of the Yankees that we watched growing up and how we always got to see half of our roster essentially, or our favorite players on the team. So it's got to be a really, really cool feeling for a Phillies fan. Also, shout out to the Phillies fan that stood as the buses left when the Dodgers in the middle of the road sweeping the road to let them know that they got swept by the Phillies. Whoever you are as a fan, you are a legend for that.
A+ pity. That is great. Another A+ for the Phillies. I'm going to imagine the lone representative for the Oakland Athletics is Mason Miller, who will likely be traded at some point. He is hitching a ride on the Phillies private jet to go to the All-Star game.
This is happening again?
Yeah, it happened with Paul Blackburn a couple years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, Rose gave him a ride. So I'm not going to go into a billionaire owner's pocket, but you can't give the best player on your team and your all-star that you're going to trade for a bounty. You can't give them. You can't just put them on a PJ and
to your point, they're going to trade him, so they don't care. They're like, whatever. You're just a piece for us. You got to go. Harrison, anything about the list before we get into a little NFL talk? Because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about this.
No, it looks really solid. I mean, top is the top. The middle is so interesting right now in both leagues, kind of that wild card race. There's so many teams that are bunched up. It's going to be an interesting finish.
That it definitely will be. This is going to be an interesting start because we're inching closer towards the season. But the only way to keep the NFL alive during the off season is just to make up these funny ass lists to get everybody talking. And they're always by anonymous coaches, anonymous execs, and anonymous scouts. So it's always funny list. But shout out to Jeremy Fowler because he's actually not anonymous and he actually does a really, really good job. So I want to give him his props for that. But he does every offseason. He reaches out to those positions in each organization. He spoke to about, I think he said 83 overall, to see who is the top 10 ranked quarterback in 2024. And the list goes as follows. At number 1, which is no surprise, Patrick Mahomes, who was 1 last year. 2, Joe Burrow, who was 2 last year as well. 3, Josh Allen, 3. Lamar Jackson, who was 7th last year, is 4th. 5th is Matthew Stafford, who was 10th last year. 6th is Justin Herbert, who was 5th last year. 7th, C.J. Stroud, who was not ranked. 8th was Aaron Rodgers last year, who was 4th. Have a lot to say about that one. At 9th, Jared Goff, who last year was not ranked at all. And then 10th is Dak Prescott, who last year was ranked at 9th. So, gentlemen, I don't know which one of you would like to go first. But I would love to hear what you think about these rankings.
You and the thing you have off the list, Jalen Hurts. That's wild.
No. I didn't put that. Sam did.
I did.
No,
it's
that's
just
a
historical context.
I'm
not throwing shots.
I didn't want people to think that it was me that put that on.
No. I'm saying it's insane that he's not in this list.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Rodgers he played 2 snaps?
4, I think.
Like, come on, like that's just crazy to me. Like, I'm riding for my Eagles now.
Well,
so.
Here he goes.
He's just all Philly, the Philly heel now. He's like, he's gonna watch the All-Star game now. He's got 8 Phillies.
Yeah. Fandom completely aside, Jalen Hurts really needs to be on this list.
Clip it. That's great.
Make me sick.
Coming home.
No, you're not.
So the top of the list,
Grease the
obviously,
polls,
I have no beef with. I mean, Patrick Mahomes number 1, obviously.
Yep.
I think there's a big gap between 1 and 2. But those guys can shake out any way you want it. But to have Jalen Hurts off the top 10 is insane in place of Rodgers, Goff, Prescott. Like that's just it's just inaccurate. So that's my thoughts.
Okay.
I think these lists are stupid. They're good to talk about.
Yes.
It's interesting. I read the piece and Jeremy said that like up to, what do you say, 83 people participated. They didn't vote on every position. Every day they're releasing another position. So they didn't rank it necessarily. He just asked all these, whoever, executives, coaches, whatever, like who are your top 10 quarterbacks? So so it wasn't ranked. So it was like,
well, he basically took the consensus of all of them and ranked it based off of what everybody said. So,
So people didn't say, Pat's number 1. Obviously, Pat's number 1.
I'm sure people said Pat's number 1.
Well, right.
I guarantee
you know what I mean, though. Like, so it was more of just, tallying the total of votes, and this is how it ranked out. Be interested to see where Jalen was. He has an honorable mention there.
Purdy has an honorable mention as well, too.
Yeah, so if you just take it by there, it doesn't look like it's in alphabetical order. So, I'm just assuming here it went Purdy, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Kirk Cousins. So what is there? Jalen's 13th. I think more needed to be said about how the Eagles imploded last year. That said, and Jalen Hurts was not the catalyst of that. The offense was stale. The defense was a turnstile. I'm not rubbing it in here, Hayes. We've talked about it. Jalen didn't play that great down the stretch. I still don't think that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't play at all. So, and Josh Allen didn't have a great statistical year. Not what he's used to doing or can do. But the team made the playoffs. All whatever. I don't know what the thinking was behind it, but it got clicks. We're talking about it. I'm sure ESPN talked about it all day today, and they're going to tomorrow. You could easily put Jalen should be in the top 10 here somewhere. When Blink and I think it just kind of shows the value that some of these players have, where we don't look at. I mean, we all love Matthew Stafford on this podcast. I don't think if you were to ask the average NFL fan, who's the 10 best quarterbacks in the league. Matthew Stafford even gets a mention.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, same thing. Stroud had a really good year and has all the poise and promise to be on this list for the next decade. Sure, but I think I think Jalen should probably be here. But it's just an interesting take here. What are your thoughts here, Hayes?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
1 is untouchable. 2 is where I would immediately start changing things.
Okay.
Joe Burrow is coming back from a wrist injury. He didn't really play last year. And the second best quarterback last year was Lamar Jackson. So I'm immediately putting him at 2. We don't know what Joe Burrow is going to be coming off of injury, but we do know what Lamar is going to be, and his team got better. So I'm keeping him up there higher. Josh Allen, I'll keep. It's between 3 is between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, but again, for what I just saw and just said, I'm going to put Josh at 3. And then I would put Joe Burrow at 4. Stafford, he had a great season last year. We know how Stafford has on and off seasons. Last year was definitely an on season. He's got a great receiving core. So I'm not really mad at that one. I think him and Herbert for me is always like an issue because I know Herbert has the talent. He has the skills to score, and he also has not had the greatest coach, period, to lead the way for him. But also there's been times that he's just folded as well. CJ had one great season, and he only had one season. And to put him up in the top of quarterbacks, I need to see him do it more than once. And that's not to diminish what he had. It was one of the greatest rookie seasons that we've ever seen,
no doubt.
period. So I'm not diminishing that at all. Aaron Rodgers, no way in hell should be in 10. He played 4 snaps last year. 4.
Yeah, so right, and I don't disagree with you. I just don't know what the context of this is.
That's what I was going to say
like,
too.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean,
Aaron Rodgers is still, aside from being a nutcase, like he is the prototypical type of quarterback and was for a generation.
It's so ambiguous.
It's
It's
just
like, what's the question? Like, is it ranking
don't-
them off of their careers? Because obviously Aaron Rodgers is the
then
last,
he's
the
one
last
or two.
one of Brady and Manning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or is it like ranking them off what their future prospects are? Or I guess it's a combination of all of these things. So if you take into that account, he probably is still a top 10 quarterback, but I don't,
I took it in my head just based off of last year, because if you're going off to your point, Harrison, if we're going off a career, then CJ shouldn't be on the list because CJ's only had one season.
Agreed.
Right?
It's
You know
all
what I mean?
over. It's all over the place.
Correct.
It's like you have different cases for different players of why they should
once
be
Joe-
where
and
they are.
We all love Joe Burrow. I've been banging the drum for Joe Burrow forever.
Yeah, he played half a year.
He played half the year, and the first X amount of games were
Correct.
train wreck for the Bengals, and he wasn't healthy either. And once he started playing better, then he got hurt.
Mhm.
You could say, look at what the Bengals did without him. I mean, what's his name? Jake Browning wasn't that bad without him. But right. So I think we're all saying the same thing here.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Dak
just
at 10
it's a
is
hard
fine.
list.
I'm fine with that. I just don't really know how it was calibrated.
Yeah.
I think we should probably do our own. Not right
We
now.
should.
Let's
No,
just
we
do
absolutely
it.
should.
Let's just do it. Like next week, we'll.
Jalen will definitely be on that list because there's no way that this gentleman was in the Super Bowl and played better than Patrick Mahomes and had one season that he was not fully healthy, which we all knew that he was not healthy at all last season, and to not be on the list at all. And Brock Purdy should probably be, I mean, honorable mention is cool. He could be a 10 or something like that. But if it's based solely off of last year, like this list is so all over the place.
I just wonder how much they're putting stock in coaching schemes and stuff.
Mhm.
Like I'm sure, even though Brock Purdy brought a team to the Super Bowl and he's Mr. Irrelevant here, I mean that scheme is. I mean, half the coaches in the league are using some sort of McVay Shanahan offense now.
Yep.
It's
it's always
talented, but it's also it sets you up to succeed here. But at the same time,
It's
I don't
always
know. It's
any sports debate. It's like,
right.
all right, let's pit player A against player B. Okay. Peak or career? Like that needs to be defined before we have any kind of argument of where anyone's moving. So, yeah.
It's just
I guess
yeah.
the list gets people talking, like you said, Sam. It's for clicks. I mean, you get a lot of Philadelphia clicks now because
Of
Jalen Hurts
course.
isn't on this list, and that's what ESPN does.
Let's get the most rowdiest fan base going and just say Jalen's not on there, which all the slander has been going towards him this offseason, and it's just very, very fun for me to
I
watch.
just think too. Trevor Lawrence was 8th last year. I don't, he's not. Who knows where he is now? But it just kind of shows the volatility of all of it too, and the depth of the quarterback position in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've just added a ton of, I think just capable, talented quarterbacks if they can all stay healthy and live up to what we kind of see with Caleb and Jaden Daniels and whatnot. So yeah, but it's all arbitrary and stupid.
Yeah, the AFC is stacked when it comes to quarterbacks for sure, but this is definitely like a quarterback renaissance right now in the NFL. So shout out to them, and then shout out to your teams as training camp is set to open for certain teams on Wednesday. So
Fly,
that'll be
Eagles,
fun
fly.
to see. Before we go to basketball, have you guys been watching Hard Knocks?
No,
I
but
have not.
I plan to.
You guys haven't watched not one episode.
Clips. I have not. I've seen
What-
the clips
what team
like
is
Joe
on it?
Shane
The
talking
Giants.
to Saquon and stuff.
I saw that.
Stuff.
I saw that clip.
That's the
But I
only
didn't-
thing that really matters at this point.
Yeah.
So the first episode was how the staff was essentially talking about Saquon and them saying Saquon doesn't have the market, that somebody's not going to go out and pay him that much. And one of the guys, which you can tell he was one of the younger guys, was like, are we sure that Saquon is not going to get paid, that he doesn't have this big of a market? And Joe Shea was just basically like, well, no, well, I mean, who's to say, blah, blah, blah. And then he actually, in the second episode, called Saquon and told him that he is pretty much going to test free agency. So, very, very interesting on that.
Basically, it was like, go
do you.
Go do you, find an offer.
And then we'll match.
But promise us
you'll tell us.
But you'll tell us. Like, so otherwise, it's like basically saying, we don't think you're going to get what you want or close. So when you don't, come crawling back to us, please. All right.
There was no way after that conversation Saquon was going to go back to them regardless. There was no way.
I think, and I think that, it's been leaking out for long before that was taped that, this marriage wasn't going to last.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's cool for the fans because these are the conversations, how idiotic or not for some, and I'm sure some of the lesser run teams, not poorly run teams, have even more ridiculous conversations. Like, it's fun as a fan to watch it, but it's got to be like, I just question, like, did the Giants like see this and like give approval for like the edits to come out? Like, because that happens. You like remember Monday Night Football, the Sam Darnold, I'm seeing ghost thing. Like, the team is supposed to sign off on stuff like that before it hits the air. I'm sure there's a ton of footage that's on the cutting room floor because of that, but like, it doesn't necessarily paint the Giants in a great light. Well, especially when you're saying we have a $40 million quarterback we're not entirely sure about. We're going to give the ball to a $15 million running back. But then here you got the Eagles, and I'm pretty sure Jalen makes more than Daniel Jones, and rightfully so. They didn't have a problem signing a $15 million running back. So it's all where you are and what you value. But like, these are the conversations that like mold your favorite teams. For sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like you said, all those conversations that are probably on the cutting room floor are the reason why I really stopped watching Hard Knocks, because it became so produced and so kind of like perfect, and everyone has to look a certain way, and none of those conversations really got out for a long time. But it's interesting that conversation, which obviously makes the Giants GM look so bad, like so bad, that got out. So maybe I'll start watching Hard Knocks again if this stuff is in there.
No, I'm definitely I heard the first one was kind of boring, but it's set up pretty good. Well, this past one, obviously, we've just spent 5 minutes on it, and then
Yep.
this upcoming week's supposed to be crazy too. So
It's
we'll see
very
then.
interesting to see because I mean I can't remember the last time I saw a team actually sit down and do that with a high profile player on that show, right? And one of
It's been
their
it's been a
franchise
while.
guys, right?
Yeah.
And then also to watch them sit down during the draft process and bring these young guys in and really talk to them and be there at the combine and really talk it through. Like the last few seasons, to Harrison's point, is like, okay, we already have our team.
Yeah,
A
it's
couple
like
people are already here. We see this, like getting that peek behind the curtain is like really cool to see that again because that was very raw. As bad as it made them look, it's just like, okay, this is really what happened. So now we
Yeah.
know what happened type situation.
it's been very state-run media for the last couple of
Yes.
years. I'm like, I
And
get it.
It's higher stakes too, because you're talking about the most popular player on your team, arguably the best player on your team, and you're not talking about some special teamer that you spend half of the last episode learning about their family and like
Yeah.
they were undrafted and they got cut from all these practice squads and blah blah blah, like, and then you never hear from them again. But like, this is one of the faces, at least when healthy and playing, one of the more popular just players and likable guys in sports. So it sucks to see, but yeah, it's we talk about it all the time. It's a business. We want to romanticize it. But it's what have you done for me right now, or what will you do for me? And that's pretty much how it goes, and sucks. But I know a lot of Giant fans that are upset, and I don't blame them. But it's just how it goes.
Oh, boo-hoo. I just want to let you know that it was the hardest thing for me to do.
As the Saquon jersey comes in,
have to be on this podcast. Don't you worry about that.
I've got mine too.
No, you don't. I'm gonna tell you right now. I've kept my composure because I just saw the Stanford tree twerking at the corner of my eye on the screen, and it just blew my mind. So I just want to let you know it was very, very hard for me not to laugh. The NBA, Sam's point guard, Jalen Brunson, has agreed to a 4-year deal for $156.5 million. Is $113 million less guaranteed than what he would have been eligible for if he signed a year from now. The deal frees up $37 million in cap from 2025 to 2028. So Brunson is taking the quote-unquote Tom Brady route to free things up. I know a lot of people have been championing, have a lot of Knicks fans on my feed, and yeah, this is how you lead, and this is how you do it. And okay, I get it. I do like the move. I think it is very, very smart. But I also think this is going to be something strategic for him too, because he wants to win a championship and it'll allow him to get the bigger bag anyway. So he may not have got the full payday of what he wanted and could have gotten, but if they win or they go somewhere far, he's absolutely going to get that bag. So it's coming regardless. So, and I think they'll be around for a while. What do you guys think of him taking a lesser deal?
It's completely selfless. It's cool to see in some respect. But the players union has been fighting against this kind of stuff for years because it lets the owners off the hook for having to pay a guy. And it's why, Chris Paul, president of the players union for a long time, fought against this kind of thing. Like, you're supposed to get your money so you can get paid what you're worth. In a sense, it's why LeBron doesn't do it. It's why a lot of stars don't do it, because you're essentially letting the organization, off the hook for what you're worth. But it's interesting. He's the first one in a long time to do it. And kudos to him. But there's gonna be some interesting ripple effects from it.
My first take was, this is how you become beloved in your city, and
no doubt,
absolutely,
about that.
Quote unquote the Mecca, all of that. Like, that's great, and they're hard pressed against the second apron and then first apron with the basically, which is like it's a hard cap now in the NBA. Yep. So my second thought was, well, how's the Players Association going to let him do this? Like, remember, like A-Rod wanted to rework his deal to get traded to the Red Sox, and the union was like, no. I mean, the MLB Players Union, especially in 2000, what was that? 2004 was the most popular or most powerful union in all sports. So that's not apples to apples here. But, to your point, Harrison, I was surprised that it's happening, but it's also, the the cap's about to go like berserk.
Yeah, that
These
too.
rights deals are really close to getting finalized. I think I saw 76 billion for the next 11 years. The players get 51% of that. So there's going to be money. The players also let the league have this hard cap. They approve the CBAs. They let all of this happen. So, I'm not crying for James Dolan. That money's going to be spent, and even there's a floor on really bad teams too. Like we talked about last week. That's why Tobias Harris got all this money from the Pistons, because they have to pay somebody. Like
Yep.
it's not like baseball or something where, the Rays or the A's salary is like what Shohei Ohtani makes. It's like,
Yeah.
that doesn't exist here. You have to spend a floor. So that's how Tobias Harris gets 60 million. So yeah, and then I heard something like Mikal Bridges saying like he's going to follow suit here, do something, like who knows, but it certainly, they were up against it. They couldn't sign Harkenstein. We talked about that a lot last time. So that's it's there. It's a great move for his team. His team is filled with his friends too, that
Yeah.
he's known and played with for a long time, and he wants to win a championship. And if he can bring a championship to MSG, that number 11's going in the rafters, and there's a statue outside the Garden. And like, if that's all that matters, clearly it looks like it. I mean, he could get hurt tomorrow. He's coming off a broken hand.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like it's so situation dependent. Like this absolutely works for him, but now it's like how are his peers going to look at
Sure.
him at the same level? Where it's like man, I can't do that. Like I'm not in the same situation. Like, and now my fan base is saying, I don't care about the team because I'm taking max money. So that's why this hasn't happened in a long time,
But
and it's interesting.
the other part of this, what like LeBron was willing to take less. And again, these are all just reports because they wanted a laundry list of people that the Lakers could not get for one reason or the other.
Yeah.
But he took what, like a couple million less, and then I don't even think we brought up his son on the last podcast at all, which is great. And I wish him I wish him success and all of that. It's just, it happened. I have no real thoughts about Bronny James and being a second round pick with a guaranteed contract. But like, LeBron took what, like $4 million less or something. And where did that money go? It essentially just went to made sure his kid got a guaranteed contract. Like, so, but if LeBron James, and he's certainly not in the position to do this, as you mentioned, Harrison, because he is the most popular athlete in the world, you're not going to take $100 million less. But what if he did?
I know. Yeah. What if he did?
If he really wanted to win at 40 years old, you could say, and I've heard this, I'm paraphrasing here. If he wanted to win, he's got enough money. I'm not in his bag. I don't, dude, again, he could stop playing tomorrow for freaking, get all the money you can. I'm all for it. But like, clearly there's other things that are prioritized. For
it's in a
Jalen
sense, it's the micro of the league, so like team by team, and the macro health of the entire league. So it's like, when your stars start taking less money, it's like you're letting the owners dictate what their worth is. So for LeBron to say, I'm worth all this money, but I'm going to take less, it just creates a ripple effect for all the players around him, or around his age or experience. Obviously no one's like LeBron, to be like, okay, I have to do this as well if I want to win, which it shouldn't be that. Like, that's why the cap is a cap. Like, that's why a max player is a max player, because they deserve that amount of the cap. So therefore it sets the tone for all the players beneath them to aspire to get that type of money. So, yes, LeBron probably could take less money and maybe win a championship if they build it better around him, but that just hurts the overall health of the league when your best player is not making the best money. That's just,
I think it also hurts.
It's all interesting.
It also hurts your does it hurt your league too? Like where LeBron has dragged across not very talented teams to NBA final. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like LeBron, like what's the best player before Kyrie came around, and you had a older Shaq? Like aside from that, like what's the best teammate LeBron had those Cleveland years? You know,
Bill
where he
Gaskis.
wasn't
Yeah.
Bill Gaskis.
right, and
Sure.
Yeah.
and a solid player for what he did, but like Dwight Howard in Orlando, like these things happen. Like it's again, it's a different conversation, but it's I'm sure the union's not going to like it, and there will be some kind of pivot from this, or this may not be what comes out in the wash, right? Like it'll probably change a little bit, but
it's the first time in a long time. I can't remember the last time someone took $115 million less than what they were probably going to get.
Yeah, I mean, you could say Shohei deferred $68 million a year, right? But he's still going to get that money. We
talk about how crazy baseball contracts are. We talked about that last episode, so that's not even a shock.
Yeah, NBA salaries, this structure is so different,
and it's wild too. You play half the games a baseball player plays, and they're making crazy money. And good for them. I don't, I'm not criticizing it, but Shohei's still getting that money. And Jalen is set up to potentially get a $400 million contract in like X amount of years, but he's got to be a prime player for these next couple years, which nothing
you just never get that money back though.
Yeah.
You get 4 contracts basically, and it's like you never get that back. But it's hundreds of millions of dollars, so it's
respect that he did it for the team, as you said, Sam, and I highlight the points that you guys made because I don't really have much to add except for one thing, which I'll say at the end. But we haven't seen this happen in a while, as you both said. To see this actually happen is a rarity. He's absolutely going to be a legend in Knicks lore because of this. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and I understand what you're doing and what's your idea of doing, Jalen, moving forward. But at the end of the day, get your money because they don't give a damn about you. As soon as you are not worth anything to them, they're shipping you out, and you're not going to even get anywhere close to that money again, right?
As we just talked about, right, with Saquon.
Correct. Correct. They don't
saw
in the same city.
We saw it happen, 5 years ago with Isaiah Thomas. So.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right too, right? Because he didn't take the extension, and he's bounced around the G League for and team by team.
Also came back this year and played kind of played. Before we move on to what is going on as we get ready for the Olympics, Sam, the most popular athlete in the world is Cristiano Ronaldo, who choked with Portugal. But shout out to Spain for winning the Euro, and shout out to Argentina for winning the Copa. Even though I don't know if you guys saw Messi.
I watched that one.
Yeah, that was Paul.
I watched both.
Let's talk about that Actually, we'll talk about that in a second. That's a do you care? We're adding that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Because there's a special part of that we need to add. Derek White has replaced Kawhi Leonard on the U.S. roster, which has now caused nothing but controversy. The team, for those that don't know, is sponsored by Nike brand. And so Lawrence Frank, the Clippers president, said that it was the decision of Team USA to send Kawhi home. They wanted Kawhi to play. Kawhi wanted to play. So they chose Derek White over his teammate, Jalen Brown. Now, the reason why this is a controversy is Jalen Brown has known to call out Nike on several occasions, even though he continues to wear Nikes, but he has it personalized. Instead of just do it, it says instead just do better to Nike. He's called them out for what they've done with Kyrie, who is also somebody that did not make this team. And this is now blowing up. I wouldn't say it's to the extreme. It's being talked about definitely in basketball circles. Gentlemen, do you think this was the right choice in selecting Derek White over Jalen Brown to replace Kawhi Leonard?
No. No. Jalen Brown's just a better plaer. Like it's not even a question. And it's not even a fit thing either. Like they're guards. Like they have point. I don't.
Yeah, he's not handling the ball. You don't want Jalen handling the ball anyway. But like,
no.
I mean, here you are. You're coming off a championship MVP trophy, and Yeah, it's not the best look. I understand where Derek White like fits in the team, like just from a like he'll get his hands dirty kind of thing. But yeah, you want it goes back to the Caitlin Clark conversation we had a couple weeks ago, right? Like you want the best guys on the team, girls, women, players on the team. Like that's just what you want. So I'm not like up in arms about it. I didn't know the extent. Like I know his history of Nike, certainly Kyrie's history of Nike, but I didn't look too deep into it. But I'm sure there's something to
There
it.
has to be something there because
100%.
even though if there isn't anything there, Derek White makes no sense. Like you have Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson,
Yeah.
like there was. I like Derek White, but he's not those players. So it's weird. Weird decision.
What I've heard is they've said they had too many wings and they needed somebody to play defense. So that's why they got Derek White. Which
Jalen Brown's one of the best defenders in the league.
Thank you. When I
he's
heard
a really good
circling and
What are we talking
hearing it on TV, seeing conversations in multiple places about that, I was like, so did you just not watch Jalen Brown during the whole playoff run, or you didn't watch the finals at all, or you didn't watch him at all this season or the season prior to that? Because he is definitely one of the better defenders in the league. And then you also get one of the best offensive players in the league on top of that. So why would you not do that? To pair him with his two other teammates that are better than Derek White and Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I agree with Harrison. I do believe that there's something more to this of Nike being petty, because Nike has been on this extremely petty streak this past year. They've gone out and sued anybody that's made anything look like Nike. And now they're going after people that have said anything about Nike, like, yeah, no, if we're sponsoring this, you're not playing. People need to go after Nike for the bullshit jerseys that they put out in MLB, because those were terrible, which we touched on that a little bit. But yeah, I think this is just, it's very interesting. It's not being talked about a lot to the extent I think it should be talked about and really looked into. But I think it's very interesting to see what's happening, for sure. With that said, what is very interesting, and more interesting probably than all of this to me, is NCAA 2025 is back, and early access is today. It started at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And when I say today, is for those when we're recording, not today when you're actually listening, which will be Tuesday. You'll be a day in at this point in time. Some of you may be like 2 seasons in, because we definitely know friends that might be 5 seasons in by this point in time. So kudos to you. But gentlemen, do you care that this is back? I'll answer for all of you. Yes, we all do care that this is back. And who are you guys starting your dynasty with?
11 years, a long time. So yeah, very happy it's back. If EA Sports wants FCS teams, Marist, we're here. I will sell our soul, all our jerseys, all our rights.
Do it.
We'll be in the game.
Expansion
who am I
pack,
starting
baby.
with? I'll probably start a QB and then go anywhere that they'll let me start right away, and then transfer right away.
Walk
right
on a JUCO and then get an offer.
We'll
There
transfer to
Okay.
Georgia or somewhere
You'll go to
crazy.
USC.
Yeah, no, they have terrible jerseys. Shout out my Trojans.
The jersey thing's a big, because
big
you got to
part.
stare
It's a
at
big
it
It's
for
a huge part.
12 games a year, right? So
yeah, USC only has 2 jersey options. We got to be better.
Same with Penn State, which is exactly why I probably won't be going there. So
yeah, we got to be better.
That's
you're
why
not going to pick Penn
my
State?
team at NCAA has always been I normally
Unhappy
don't play
Valley
with
here, huh?
No. I love Penn State. I'll play like a season with Penn State as well too, but it gets very boring because there's those options.
No options.
Which is why I always pick the Wildcats in NCAA when we used to play all the time, because they have so many different jersey options in that red, white, and blue. You can do different things with the accessories and all that. I mean, obviously Oregon's an option because they have the most jersey options that you can possibly ask for, but it's normally Wildcats for me. But I'll definitely play for Penn State for sure.
Oklahoma State has 15 helmets.
Jeez.
Oh, that's all.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a lot. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. So I know we all care about that. Sam, are you getting the game?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you playing with?
I don't know.
Okay.
I doubt.
Cool.
I got it though.
He's ready.
Okay.
We just talked about it. I downloaded it when
Well, you said I
We're
should
saying
get it right now. You didn't say that you did
I
get
said
it.
I don't want to spend $100 on a video game, but I'm
Yes.
going to do it. Is I
Going
think
to do it.
exactly what I said before we hit record.
Okay.
You just bite the bullet at that
Yeah,
point.
you just do it. I haven't bought a video game in a while. Let's do it.
Well, there you go.
So it'll be fun.
Copa, last
Can't wait.
night. It wasn't so much of the game that I want to talk about. It's what happened prior to the game. Wake up, Miami. Wake up the rest of the stadiums that will be hosting the World Cup in a few years. Because if you don't get your shit together, this is what is going to happen. And I said to friend of the show, Farkas, I said, 100%, I hate that this happened, but I think it needed to happen to let them know, like, we're not prepared for fans like this. And you're going to get the World Cup. This means the world is going to be in your country. The world. I don't think you understand. Yes, we have football. Yes, we have basketball. Yes, we have baseball. That's great. This is soccer we're talking about. The second biggest sport in the world behind cricket, which is so weird. Still, second biggest sport in the world, and you think you're not prepared for that? Watching people climb over gates, them bum rushing, the police letting the gates down because they couldn't hold the people back. To watch people rip off the cages of a vent and climb through a vent to get inside.
That's my favorite one.
That is my favorite one too.
The vent climbing is incredible.
Nuts. Then
it's like, where are we going?
It's like
they're just like, we're just gonna go through this duct and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Like, this is, we've never been inside of it before, but we're just gonna follow it wherever it goes.
You couldn't pay me enough to climb into a vent.
No.
And I got
in Miami where it's like a billion degrees.
On top of that,
I'm very claustrophobic. Yeah. I'm claustrophobic. I don't like tight spaces.
Yep, no.
In a vent, I was like, what are we doing?
No more locked doors. Oh my gosh. And then to watch the police presence inside the stadium, to walk up and down every aisle and make sure the people that had tickets had their seats and boot the people that didn't. Like, that was just a wild. First off, this past 7 days has been probably the most wild 7 days that I've seen in a while in this country in general. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is for a whole nother podcast and not this one.
We're not getting there,
but just know
go to
that it's been a whole wild 7 days. And this adds to it. I have no idea what's going on. Like, this is the type of stuff that makes me want to stay inside the house. It's like, y'all just acting like this. Like, I'm good. I'm good. They better get their shit together before the World Cup. And I think this will definitely now impact that in their planning of what we just saw in Miami. We can't have happen at MetLife or out in SoFi and so on and so forth. Like, we can't have that happen.
I'll fix the turf.
We're going to hell in a handbasket. Only thing that can save us is college football, and everyone stays inside.
Yeah. I still can't get over the image of watching somebody climb through a vent.
The vent got me. Like, bro. I was like,
that was.
What is going on?
I saw one dude climb. Actually, like 2 or 3 dudes climb up an awning to get up the ramp, and I was just like, okay, this is wild. And I was like, it can't get crazier than that. Wrong. And then I see them like piling each other into the vent. I was just like, first off, it's probably not gonna be able to hold all your weight. And I was like, I also saw the escalator was broken. One of the it shattered, like
shot.
So much damage done to that stadium. It's like, y'all, they got to play football there, like real football there, right?
This is the game after they had a brawl in the stands. Like, what? Like, players in this, like, not good. Just not good.
Not what you want.
Do better. Do better, people. Well, that concludes our show. It is hot, so
what a note to end on.
It is also just let them deal with that. It's hot. It's time to eat. Sam,
stay away from vents.
I actually should check my vents and make sure nobody climbs in mine. Sam, could you take us home, please, sir?
Yeah, man. 138 in the books. Thanks so much for listening. For Harrison and Brandon, my name's Sam. Thank you so much. Check us out on social media at Chasing Points Podcast. And until next week, peace. Oh, happy birthday, Ethan.
Happy birthday, Ethan.
Happy birthday, Ethan.
Brother.